Hello. In this session, we will look at the Terraform state file management. So, by default, whenever we are creating our infrastructure, whenever we run the Terraform apply command, the state files by default they are stored on the local directory wherever you're running your Terraform. So, let's say, for example, in my case, the Terraform is installed on an EC2 instance. So, EC2 instance is my local machine, and here I have the configuration files. Now whenever I run the Terraform apply command, by default my state file gets stored in the local directory of my local machine itself. Now if you're running for a testing purpose, or if you're doing it for a personal project, this is fine as long as your state file is secured and it is logged up. So basically, since your state file is on the local machine, only you can use it, only you can work with this state file. So as long as you're using this for personal purpose, maybe you're doing a POC or you're testing some feature, this is fine. However, when you are working on Terraform projects in a team, so let's say you have multiple people who are working in a team, then it becomes a problem to share this state file. So now, because this is on your local machine, how are you going to share this with the other people in your team? So this becomes a problem as multiple people will need to access that state file. Also, when using automation and CI/CD pipelines to run Terraform, the state file needs to be accessible and permission given to the service principal running the pipeline to be able to access the storage account container that holds the state file. So let's say you're running the Jenkins to run the Terraform code, or any automation tool to run the Terraform code. Now, if the state file is on your local machine, the automation tool may not be able to access the state file and your automation will fail. So how do we overcome these challenges? All right, so this makes shared storage a perfect candidate to hold the state file. So basically what you can do is you can keep the state file in a common location, all right, which can be shared with multiple people, and then the permissions can be granted as needed. So depending on the access, you can give the access to respective people, and you can start sharing the state file with multiple people. You should also store the state files remotely and not on the local machine. So if you're working with multiple people in the team, storing the state file on the local machine is not recommended. You should not be doing this. If not, you won't be able to share. So you should be storing this on a remote locations. Okay, so the location of the remote state file can then be referenced using a backend block within your Terraform block, which is usually in the main.tf file, or you can define a separate file with the name backend.tf file. So meaning you can start storing the state files in a remote location, and you can tell Terraform that the state files are available in a remote location by making use of this backend block that you can define within your configuration files. Now, you also have the option of using GitHub to store your state file. However, it's not a good idea to store the state file in your source control like GitHub, simply because your state file may contain sensitive data, and all of this data will be available in the plain text. So maybe the IP addresses of your server or some credentials related to your infrastructure, all those information will be available in the plain text. And because this information is available in the plain text, it is not recommended to make use of your source control to store your state file. So storing secrets anywhere other than a secure location is never a good idea. So it's, like I said, it's not at all recommended. If it's not a secure location, you should not be using that to store your state files, and should not be put especially in a source control. So secondly, most version control systems do not allow the locking of files, which may cause issues when multiple people attempt to access the file at the same time. So one is obviously storing the state files in a secure location. The other important point is locking your state file. So let's say you have multiple developers, and let's say developer one is accessing the state file. So there should be a way to lock that file so that when other developers are trying to access the file, the request is put in the queue. If not, then you are basically overriding the operations on the state file. All right. So lastly, storing state files in version control can introduce human error, or as the latest state file would need to be pulled each time Terraform is run. So this could result in an old state file being used and unexpected changes to the infrastructure. So the bottom line is we should not be using any source control to keep or to store the state files. So using a remote backend instead solves these challenges. So locking is natively supported. The state file will be automatically loaded, and the encryption can be used to secure the state file on disk and in transit. So you have other backend options that are available which we can use, which natively supports the locking of the state files. It also supports encryption of your state file so that you can encrypt the data in your state file as well. So remote backend storage such as Amazon S3, it is designed to be highly available. So one option you have is Amazon S3 bucket, which can be used to store your state file. So in the upcoming sessions, we will be looking at an example for that. Now they also support versioning, so you can roll back to a previous state file should the state file get corrupted. So S3 has this property, which is your versioning, which can be enabled to store multiple versions of the state file. Lastly, it is inexpensive to use. So usually state files are very small and can normally fit into the free tier. So these are very small files. You'll have like few bytes of the files. They're very inexpensive to store, since especially with your S3 buckets, because these are very small files. So that's basically what your state file management is. In the upcoming sessions, we will be looking at the various options we have, and then we'll also look at your examples. That's all for this session. Thank you. Once again, before you leave, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you like the video, leave a like and please share the video.